Welcome, Adventure. I'm GM Goblin, your GM Goblin, and today we are on a Goblin Plays, and this is Guild Wars 2. So, I know graphics is a big thing for a lot of people, and one of the gripes that I've heard about Guild Wars 2 is just that. It's not resource heavy, so there you go, but the graphics is a lot of people's problem. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of help with that. Go look up Reshade. Reshade is a mod that you can use, and it does processing injection. So after your game has been rendered, it is going to create input shaders. They have lots of different stuff that you can do with it. I will show you a little bit, but it's an easy download, an easy hookup, and it will launch with your game. So they have some content here which will help them out, and you can follow. You can also find it online, but it is what I use to improve the visibility of my game a little bit. And I'm going to show you some examples for what at least my view settings does in the game, and other things that you can play with. So let's take a look. So this is Verdant Brink inside of the Maguma jungle area. And this is with Guild Wars 2. I believe I am set on windowed, ultimate, everything's maxed out. I do recommend changing a few things when you're actually playing through. Load distance is something that drastically is going to decrease your frame rate, and it will do almost nothing. I put mine to medium. You can put it up to high, but generally I'm running some other things, so I have a little bit lower frame rate than I usually do, but a lot of times I run around and get in the hundreds range all the way up to like 180. And I've even ran 2 accounts on this at one time, no problem. So the game itself is not super resource heavy, and the reshade is not going to be super resource heavy either. So that's what we're looking at for a mount. And the newer mounts, actually, I guess mounts are all kind of new, but they're pretty, oh, I gotta do it this way. They're pretty good. They have a lot more texturization, a lot better geometry with it. And so they look better, but I found Reshade probably within a month of playing, and I love it. Going in, and after you do a download, I use Model 1 to sharpen things up. And you can see there's a little bit of like a clarity that happens with your pixels. And then I use Vivid to help kind of bring out the darks and then the colors. And then I use Adaptive Sharpen. Adaptive Sharpen is going to also create more of a angle with the geometry, and it's going to give you a better look. As you can see, it clears a lot of stuff up. So going from this, which is what I always play with, to this, that's your normal. And each one, you can see the difference. Adaptive makes the lines and the edges pop and everything, your color, and then mode 1. And you can do a lot of others. I actually, because I like having the dark colors the way they are so that everything pops, sometimes, very rarely, we'll have something come up where I'm in a dark location and it's darker than I like, so it's hard to see things. I will actually hit Spotlight and it will lighten up an entire area, and I have it so it can lighten up everything. So I kind of turn into my own little torch. But there's a lot of things you can do, which colorfulness does it. I ran into something that caused me to have a little bit of an issue. I would have some errors come up. And I don't know which setting it was, but there's a lot to play with. I'm running on a 7900 XT, but I have a 7900 XT from Radeon. It should have about 20 gigs of memory on it. I have 32 gigs of RAM. And then I am running a Ryzen 7 5700 X3D, which is an 8-core processor. The X3D processors are fantastic. I went with this because I couldn't get a 58. They were quite a bit more expensive, I think, if you could never find them in stock. But they don't have too big of an impact. I am on a AM4 chipset, so that's my socket that I'm running right now. But I do not have any issues with the game. The game looks phenomenal like this. And I built this really to play TNL, where I updated my PC. And I was having no problems doing raids, big events, and everything with my computer. So it was doing just fine. But there was a lot of things that, especially with these additions from this mod, that really kind of closes a lot of the gaps to what you would have with something like TNL. And don't get me wrong, this is not running on Unreal Engine 5, but especially when you're running around. Ooh, no. You're not going to notice it near as much. There we go. So you don't have to worry about it coming out looking weird. You also won't have to worry about having to have a super fast PC, because your processor is usually what gets hit so hard with these systems. But as you can see, the game looks great, and it looks even better depending on which maps you're on. So that's one thing that they didn't do, is they did not go back and change a lot of your maps. Now this is, well, this brings me back. This is kind of nostalgic for me. As you can see, you're looking at your 2012 graphics. This is the original area. There is no update. Now they did do a slight shader update, if I remember. Let's see here. I think it was the setting, which changes your texturing a little bit. A little better with it on. These are my settings. I'm getting 134. I had 167 just a second ago whenever I zoned in. But I don't use vertical sync. Bloom, I recommend leaving bloom off, because as you can see, it gets a lot brighter. There are some locations, or when you're staring at the sun, which this zone is a little gloomy, then it has some issues. Your color gradient, you're not going to see a whole lot of difference in, but the mod's going to really take care of that. Tint's just going to make it a little bit lighter, a little more warmer. And then light rays, I don't do that one either. Selection outline, I would use simply because it's going to make it easier whenever you select and you're looking for a target. But they did a little bit for these smaller or younger zones when it comes to the shader, because it went everywhere. So it added a little bit of depth. But newer content, newer geometry is going to have a lot better. And then, of course, we can throw this in, and the game looks a lot better. So this is one of the things that's definitely allowed me to play an older game where I like the graphics. I mean, I was playing Battlefield 6 when it came out, and I had it maxed out except for some of the shadows, and I had 100-something frame rates on it all the time. And so it looks better with this if maybe when you started, like in this zone, you didn't like the original graphics. And let's go somewhere. This is one of the newer zones. This came out in, what year was this? 2023. This came out in 2023. It's the Secrets of the Obscure, and everyone just calls it Soto. But it, as you can see, this here natural, it has a little bit better graphics. You're getting mirage effects that they use, better shadows. And then of course, everything looks better whenever you add that extra processing in there. And I am glad that this game allows you to use mods like this because it allows us to customize things. And nothing can mess with the actual game code, so you're not going to get in trouble. I'll make a video on this later. But it makes the game pop a lot better by what they're doing. And this is their newest zone. This is going to be over in Shipwreck Strand. This is Visions of Eternity, which is their newest expansion. And this is with the actual graphics they have. Nothing looks too bad. Everything looks pretty good. And then, take a look what happens with Reshade on. Lot deeper greens, lot better shading. The world looks fantastic. So, I like good graphics in a game, and Reshape has definitely made Guild Wars pop for me. It is something that doesn't have much processing to your computer. You're not going to have a whole lot of issues with, but it just makes the game look really good and updates it a little bit. If you were like me and you loved things like BDO, not just because of the combat and how flashy the effects looked, but because it had such good graphic quality for so long compared to everything else, then you can make this game do that. And the spell effects get enhanced a little bit too. And the spell effects, especially on some of the new stuff, like I just showed, is great. Now, Guardian's always going to be super blue. So, but if you don't like blue, an Elementalist is super flashy and pretty. But Reshade really makes a difference when it comes to getting that feeling of playing a little more up-to-date game, having a little bit better graphic quality. So you can play a game that's not only good, that has a good base to it, but it's going to allow you to experience and enjoy the game in a whole new light. By the way, that's all for now. Get out there, run some encounters, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the world of Tyria. Remember to come back and join us at Goblin Plays.